East Asian landlocked nation of Mongolia is surrounded by China to the south and Russia to the north. With a population of only 3.3 million and a land area of 1,564,116 square kilometers, 603,909 square miles, it is the world's least populous sovereign state. The vast majority of Mongolia, the biggest landlocked nation in the world without a closed sea, is made up of grassland steppe, with mountains to the north and west and the Gobi Desert to the south. About half of the population lives in Ulaanbaatar, the nation's capital and largest city. Numerous nomadic dynasties, including the Xiongnu, the Xianbei, the Rouran, the First Turkic Khaganate, and others, ruled the area that is now Mongolia. The Mongol Empire, which Genghis Khan established in 1206, grew to be the world's biggest unified land empire. His grandson Kublai Khan formed the Yuan dynasty after capturing mainland China. The Mongols withdrew to Mongolia after the Yuan collapsed, where they resumed their prior pattern of factional warfare, with the exception of the reigns of Dayan Khan and Tumun Zasid Khan. The Manchu-founded Qing dynasty, which conquered Mongolia in the 17th century, helped Tibetan Buddhism grow there in the 16th century. Nearly one-third of the adult male population was a Buddhist monk in the beginning of the 20th century. After the Qing Empire fell in 1911, Mongolia declared its independence before finally severing ties with the Republic of China in 1921. Soon after, the nation joined the Soviet Union as a satellite state, which had helped it gain independence from China. The Mongolian People's Republic was established as a socialist nation in 1924. Early in 1990, Mongolia undertook its own peaceful, democratic revolution in response to the anti-communist uprisings of 1989. As a result, a multi-party system, a new constitution, and the shift to a market economy were all brought about. There are about 30% of nomadic or semi-nomadic people. Horse culture is still very important. The non-religious make up the second largest religious group, with Buddhism constituting the majority. The second largest religion is Islam, which is primarily practiced by Kazakhs. The majority of people are Mongols, with Kazakhs, Tuvans, and other ethnicities, who are mainly found in the West, making up about 5% of the population. In addition to being a global partner of NATO, Mongolia is a member of the Asian Cooperation Dialogue, the G77, the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, and the Non-Aligned Movement. In addition to seeking to increase its involvement in regional economic and trade organizations, Mongolia joined the World Trade Organization in 1997. The Khoit-Senker Cave in Kov Province is known as the Lascaux of Mongolia for its vibrant paintings in pink, brown, and red ochre that depict mammoths, lynx, Bactrian camels, and ostriches. These paintings date to 20,000 years ago. The Venus figurines from Malta, 21,000 years ago, which is now a part of Russia, are evidence of the sophistication of northern Mongolian Upper Paleolithic art. Neolithic agricultural communities, such those at Noravlan, Tamsagbilag, Bayanzag, and Rashan Kad, circa 5500 to 3500 BC, before the advent of horse-riding nomadism, a crucial moment in the history of Mongolia that led to the development of the dominant civilization. Archaeological evidence from Mongolia during the Copper and Bronze Age Afanasevo civilization, 3500 to 2500 BC, has shown that horse-riding nomadism existed there. This Indo-European civilization was active to the Khangai Mountains in central Mongolia. Prior to 2200 BC is when the wheeled vehicles discovered in the Afanasevan tombs were discovered. With the subsequent Okhanev culture, 2nd millennium BC, Andronovo culture, 2300 to 1000 BC, and Karasuk culture, 1500 to 300 BC, which culminated in the Iron Age Xiongnu Empire in 209 BC, pastoral nomadism and metalworking became more sophisticated. The pre-Xiongnu Bronze Age left behind a number of monuments, such as deer stones, Karaksar kurgans, square slab burials, and rock paintings. Although crop production has persisted since the Neolithic, it has never been on the same scale as pastoral nomadism. Agriculture may have developed independently in the area or was first brought in from the west. In the eastern portion of what is now Mongolia, the population during the Copper Age has been classified as Mongoloid, and in the western portion as Europoid. In the Bronze Age, Scythians and Tocharians, Yuezhi, lived in western Mongolia. The mummy of a Scythian warrior, said to be roughly 2,500 years old, was discovered in Mongolia's Altai and was a 30 to 40-year-old guy with blonde hair. The political hub of the Eurasian steppe moved to Mongolia with the introduction of horse nomadism, and it stayed there until the 18th century CE. The invasions of northern pastoralists into China during the Shang and Zhou dynasties, 1600 to 1046 BC and 1046 to 256 BC, respectively, foreshadowed the era of nomadic empires. The Mongol tribes between Manchuria and the Altai Mountains were finally brought together in the chaos of the late 12th century by a chieftain by the name of Temujin. In 1206, he adopted the name Genghis Khan and launched a series of cruel and ferocious military campaigns that swept across most of Asia, creating the Mongol Empire, the biggest contiguous land empire in history. Under his successors, it covered about 33 million square kilometers, 13 million square miles, or 22% of the total land area of Earth, and had a population of over 100 million people, roughly a quarter of Earth's total population at the time. It stretched from what is now Poland in the west to Korea in the east, and from parts of Siberia in the north to the Gulf of Oman and Vietnam in the south. During its height, Pax Mongolica also greatly facilitated trade and commerce throughout Asia. The Mongols, who are referred to in history as the Northern Yuan dynasty, ruled their territory after the Yuan emperors were driven out of mainland China. The brutal power conflicts between various factions, particularly between the Jenghisids and the non-Jenghisid Oirids, as well as several Ming invasions, dominated the following centuries, such as the 5 expeditions led by the Yongle Emperor. Since there are more than 250 sunny days per year, Mongolia is also referred to as the country of blue sky or the land of the eternal blue sky. The majority of the nation experiences hot summers and bitterly cold winters, with January average temperatures as low as 30 degrees Celsius 22 degrees Fahrenheit. Winter brings a massive front of Siberian cold, heavy, shallow air that gathers in river valleys and low basins, generating very chilly temperatures, while mountainsides are significantly warmer as a result of temperature inversion. Temperature increases with altitude. In Mongolia, there are numerous urgent environmental problems that are harmful to both human and environmental health. These issues have developed in part because of the environment, but increasingly because of human activity. One of these problems is climate change, which will cause more natural disasters, land degradation, and desertification. Another is the expanding deforestation that is brought on by human irresponsibility, pests, illness, and fires. Desertification is a process that is causing Mongolian areas to become more arid, and it is being accelerated by careless land use. In addition, an increasing number of species are vanishing or in danger of going extinct. Additionally, Mongolians cope with the air and water pollution brought on by industrialization, particularly in populated areas. The term Gobi comes from the Mongol language and describes a type of arid rangeland where there isn't enough flora to support marmots but enough to support camels. Despite the fact that foreigners who are inexperienced with Mongolian geography may not always recognize the difference, Mongols distinguish between the Gobi and the actual desert. Overgrazing can easily ruin the delicate Gobi rangelands, leading to the growth of the actual desert, a rocky waste where not even Bactrian camels can live. The Himalayas rain shadow effect is said to be responsible for the Gobi's dry weather. Prior to the Indo-Australian plate colliding with the Eurasian plate to create the Himalayas 10 million years ago, Mongolia was a thriving habitat for significant fauna but was still very dry and chilly due to its distance from sources of evaporation. In addition to the well-known dinosaur fossils, fossils of sea turtles and mollusks have also been discovered in the Gobi. There are still tadpole shrimps in the Gobi today. The Onon and Kurlan rivers, as well as Lake Bir, are all part of the Amur River Basin, which empties into the Pacific Ocean. It supports various unusual species, including Siberian prawn in Lake Bir, eastern brook lamprey, Dorian crayfish, and Dorian pearl oyster in the Onon and Kurlan rivers. If you enjoyed our video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more discovery videos.